Welcome to Magical Monday Live, which is what I think I'm going to call these going forward. Just wanted to say hi, welcome. If you are watching the replay, please type in replay in the comments or CTR, which means catching the replay. So I know if you're watching the replay. So today's Magical Monday is focused on those people who have been practicing for a while, but need maybe some ideas on how to keep your practice fresh or what to do next. I named this, I've been doing this a while, what's next? So it's kind of like a sequel to I'm New, what did I call it? I'm New, what do I do? Or something like that, that I did a couple weeks ago. What's really funny is I always put like some notes to make sure that I cover the things that I want to cover. And I couldn't remember what it's called. So I named it, I'm Old, So What? I'm old, so what? So I've been doing this a while. What next? Okay, so today I'm going to talk about 3 different things that you can do to kind of expand your practice, deepen your practice, or just like, I know I already talked about reconnecting. If you haven't seen that live stream, I do have it archived, I believe, on my YouTube channel. So if you are somebody who really wants to reconnect with their craft, tag me in a comment and I'll make sure that you get that URL so that you're able to watch that live stream that I did a couple months ago. So today, again, I'm going to talk about what to do after you've been a witch for a while. Now, I've been to a lot of witchy groups, and one thing that people always seem to ask is like, why aren't there any books on advanced witchcraft? I really want to do advanced witchcraft. I've been a beginner for so long. I've been doing this for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. And I just want to know how to do the advanced stuff. So the reason why there aren't really any advanced witchcraft books, I mean, I think Patricia Telesco has one. I don't know if I still have it, but I did have it like in the late 90s, I'm pretty sure, or early 2000s. The reason why there aren't any advanced witchcraft books is because at a certain point, you've already learned the concepts. You have learned how to do everything, and it's up to you to take it to the next level. Once you know how to do energy work, you know how to do energy work. Once you learn how to channel energy, you learn how to channel energy. That to some people would seem advanced, right? So there aren't really any advanced books because the term advanced and beginner, those terms are very subjective. And once you learn all the concepts, there really isn't anywhere to go book-wise. What are you going to do? Write a book on channeling energy? Well, that might be advanced to some people, but that might be part of the beginner path to another person. Since it's such a subjective path, and there are lots of different terms that people use, there really isn't a definition of what is beginner and what is advanced. So the way that I look at it is when you begin your path, right? A lot of people do a year and a day. And the reason why we do a year and a day is because this gives you enough time to celebrate all of the Sabbats, all 8 Sabbats, and it allows you to do S-spot rituals as well, a whole year's worth. And you can tell there's like a power flow. There's energies that flow for a January full moon that it's completely different than a June full moon. And when you are experiencing that, when you are working with that energy, you start to learn the difference. So once you pass all of that and you have celebrated every Sabbath and you have celebrated all the S-spots, and you know that the difference in January, the difference between a January full moon and a June full moon, because you've experienced it. That is kind of like the second degree. Like, obviously degree systems in witchcraft are tradition specific, and so there really isn't like this is requirements for first, this is requirements for second. But when you are like very well versed in the basics, it's time to do one of these 5 things. So I'm going to start out with go deep. That's number 1, go deep. So if you've learned a little bit of everything, right? So you've learned, like 10 crystals that will do this and 10 herbs that'll do that. And the basics of runes. You've done tarot, you've done, you might have like an animal spirit and you have guides, and you have acquired probably a lot of things for your rituals. If you've studied all of the energy flows for the different Sabbats, you've lived them, you just are kind of like a jack of all trades, it might be time to go deep. So when I say go deep, I mean choose something to specialize in, or to research, or to focus, I guess. I would say focus is probably the best term. Choose something to focus on. So that might be herbal magic. So maybe you might have learned a little bit of herbal magic here, but maybe it's time for you to really delve deep and use herbal magic. Learn the difference between an infusion and a decoction, and why you would do an infusion over a decoction, why you would do those things. So it's important, though, that you still are kind of true to yourself, your authentic self, and make sure that it's something that you feel super drawn to, because you don't want this to become a chore. Just make sure that it's something that you are super drawn to and something you haven't completely fully explored yet. And if you're like, oh yeah, no, I've done crystal stuff and I've done, herbal stuff. Well, have you like integrated it into your life? Have you really kind of immersed yourself into it? If not, that's a good way to kind of take your practice to the next level. The second way is to go wide. So if you've like focused on one thing, if like herbal magic is your jam and you just know everything about herbal magic and you're like, how do I, what's my next step? Well, what else are you interested in? Because there's so many different things that you can focus on, right? So it might be time to like look into crystals a little bit and look into tarot a little bit and look into, just kind of learn a little bit about some other things, because there might be some interesting things out there that you don't really know about because you've been focused on 1 or 2 specific things. So do a little bit of learning about, different techniques, different, I like to call them catalysts for spells, like not magic versus candle magic versus this and this, and see if there's anything that, just start doing some research and see if there's anything that really you feel super drawn to. And worst comes to worst, you can always come back to energy work. You can always practice channeling energy, bringing energy up, all of that. Number 3 is live your path. So when I say live your path, I mean really live your path. Use your knowledge to make your life better, whether that is creating a mojo bag to sit in your car, or if you feel unsafe, you can anoint your window frames and your doorways, or whatever makes you feel safe. I mean, everybody has different magic, right? But use what you already know to actually, hi Caroline, to actually make your life better, to improve your state of mind, and to just like really live your path. Actually celebrate every Sabbath instead of going, I'll do that next time. Oh, I didn't notice that it was almost spring equinox, or oh no, the full moon was yesterday. It's time to, if you're a person who is like, I need advanced witchcraft stuff, but you don't know like where the moon is, or you don't know when the moon is full, or you missed the full moon because you weren't paying attention, then maybe it's time to start paying attention. Live your path, celebrate the Sabbats, celebrate the Esbats, do ritual, do celebrations. Maybe create spells, and overall just work on a strong spiritual practice. That might mean learning, working on meditating for 10 minutes every day, or creating a yoga practice, or creating a devotional practice, etc. So far I said go deep, go wide, live your path. Number 4 is deity devotions or cultural research. And this is not everybody's jam. I know not everybody is into the gods or the goddess, so this is not going to be for everybody. But do you have a deity that you work with? And if you do, do you have a strong practice with her? If not, if you want to kind of foster that relationship, it's time to start focusing on that relationship. So that might mean building an altar. That might mean researching how she used to be worshipped, where her sacred sites were, maybe create your own devotional to work from. And I'm hoping my book will be coming out next month. It might be April. I need to check with my designer, but that's what my book is going to be about. My book is going to be about creating your own devotional book that you can use to help foster that relationship between you and the goddess or the god, in an easy way, right? So, you might just be kind of, giving her an offering, like here's a candle, and, you might have a candle on your altar that's for her, but it might be time to really focus on her. What are her stories? What's her family tree look like? Who is she related to? What poetry or stories are out there before her? What poetry or stories are being told now in modern times? So there are tons of things that you can draw from to kind of create that devotional practice. And if devotional practice is something that you're interested in, but you don't know where to start, leave a comment and tag me, because I have a small blog. They're very short blogs, but I have a blog series on Deity Devotions. So just tag me and I will get you that link. And number 5, last but not least, teaching and group work. Especially if you've already done a lot of work and you've already kind of gone deep and you've already kind of gone wide and you're living your path, and you might have like a relationship with a specific goddess, and you're like, okay, now what? What can I do to keep this fresh? What can I do to stay connected? And that might mean to teach somebody else. A lot of us we didn't really have the teachers. We didn't really even have the internet. The internet that was around when I first started was AOL, dial-up. There weren't any like good websites. I think Witchfox was out, but that was like the website like everybody went to, because there was not much out there. Maybe some Delphi forums, so we didn't really have a lot of the resources that exist nowadays, but still it's sometimes hard to find a teacher. So you might want to think about becoming a mentor, teaching somebody. I know that teaching word is kind of really filled with responsibility and is really scary. At least it was for me when I first started teaching. I didn't want to think like I'm the teacher. I'd be like, oh, I'm training them. For some reason, teaching was scary. Training was not scary to me. But maybe it's time for you to take on a student. There are tons of people who want to be mentored out there, like tons. Like I'm in a lot of Wicca and witchcraft groups, and there are always people who need help or want help. And some of the people are like actually serious about the craft, and some people are just fucking around, but some people are like serious about it. And then finally, maybe it's time to explore group work. So that might mean joining a coven or a study group, or even just getting together with some friends and experimenting. So if you've never done, get back up on your chair. Get up on your chair while it's still there, buddy. I'm getting rid of it. He's looking at me like I'm crazy. Oh yeah. So even if you don't want to join a coven, because people are kind of afraid of covens. I think a lot of people don't know what being in a coven is like. People are like, oh no, are they going to control me? Are we going to wear all black? And is it scary? And, is it stupid? Is it like playing dress up? Like it's when you talk about working with other people, there are some expectations that are out there and a lot of fear, because people don't really know. Number one, people are socially anxious and socially awkward now. I think that's because of our phones and all of this social networking where we actually are not face-to-face with like actual people, that sometimes it's hard to like allow yourself to be vulnerable and connect with people. But that might be something that you want to think about if there are any covens in your area. Again, if you're not into that, maybe just get together with some friends and experiment. There's nothing wrong with like trying to do some energy work with friends. You don't have to be locked down in a coven. Everybody doesn't have to be initiated. I mean, that's great. I love that. But like, you can still just get together with friends and work on like the energy ball exercises. And there are tons of different energy exercises out there. I'm sure like if you Googled them, there would be some, or maybe I'll write a blog post about fun energy things to do with partners or friends. But, you know, that might be fun. Or it might be fun to go be with friends and try some different chants. Or, you know, there are a lot of different things that you can do. And group work is so different from solitary work. I cannot even tell you. So it's very different and it's very cool. I mean, I'll work solitary. You know, everybody in my coven is expected to also have a personal practice, right? So everybody seems to like have a different deity that they feel drawn to, or, you know, and like a practice that they do. So even if you're in a coven, you're still expected to do like a solitary practice. But when you're doing practices with a group or with a couple friends, or, you know, when I say a group, I just mean not by yourself. It could be you, it could be an actual group that's around. It could be you and your best friend, just practicing. You know, it's really fun to do experimenting. Like we don't really, you know, after a while you're like, oh, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do. This is my practice. But when you start thinking about, oh, it'd be really cool to do some energy work with another person. Like I could, you know, you could have them lay down and you could, you know, put healing energy on their body, and they can close their eyes and see if they can feel it one place or another. And how does it feel to them, hot or cold? Just even experimenting like that is pretty fun. And it allows you to kind of gain confidence in your craft when you're working with other people. And then finally, maybe host some open rituals. I'm not saying you have to like host a public ritual, invite everybody in your town, and you'll have like a 45-person public open ritual. When I say open rituals, I mean just like invite your friends. Maybe you have a spring equinox party, and as part of that party you have kind of a tiny mini ritual, or you just have like a gathering, like a dinner party or something, but it's like Imulk flavored, and you could do a ritual, or you could do some sort of ritual activity, even if you're not like casting a circle and calling the quarters and I am very witchy and this is my Wiccan ritual. Even if it's just, a couple activities, or you know, something fun that will allow everybody to kind of connect with that energy. That's a good thing, because you're using the knowledge that you already have and you're applying it in a different way. And that feels very different, and it's a very different experience when you are sharing that knowledge with other people. And then also classes. You may want to think about just teaching a class. Like, especially if you've already gone deep, you're like, I'm super into herbal magic. Maybe you teach an herbal magic class. Maybe you sign up for your local pagan meetup and host a meetup in your home and teach somebody something. You know, there are tons of different things that you can do. So again, that's pretty much it for me tonight. These are the 5 things. Go deep if you learn a little bit of everything. Choose something to focus on and kind of dig deep, and, you know, do kind of a deep dive on it and integrate it into your life. Go wide. If you've already focused on something, think about all the other things that are out there that you could focus on, and kind of dabble a little bit, like, oh, learn a little bit about crystal magic, a little bit about candles, whatever, and see if something kind of will like spark your interest so that you can kind of shift your focus to that. Live your path. Use the knowledge that you have and use your experience to make your life a little bit better. Make sure you're actually celebrating every Sabbath, every Esbat. Like, I mean, you don't have to, there's no rule, but if you're like, I don't know what to do, how do I like, you know, refresh my path? And, well, you should probably do something. A lot of us are just like kind of armchair witches, and we're like, oh yeah, no, I know how to do I know how to do these things, but are we doing them? No. So make sure you're living your path. Number 4 is deity devotions and the cultural research that goes along with that. If you have a deity that you feel super called to, you know, you can focus on her or him, do the cultural research. Where was he or she venerated? What famous poems are out there about them? What new poems are out there about them? How was she honored in olden times? In the olden days, in the times of the ancients. What rituals were done? What are her sacred holidays? I mean, you have a lot that you can learn about this goddess or god. And then finally, teaching or group work. Think about taking on a student, maybe mentoring, maybe some open rituals or some classes. So those are the 5 things that you can do to kind of refresh your practice and make things all new again and exciting. So that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this. I will see you guys later. Bye.